Cluttered countertops are the worst. Am I right? If you're anything like me, you can probably identify that clutters tend to attract a lot of mess and clutter to them, and that can be a very hard cycle to break. I think a lot of us just get so used to dumping things on the counters, especially in the kitchen, and then just leaving and walking away. So today we're going to be diving into all the different systems and habits that I use here at the Wells household on a regular basis so you can end the cluttered countertops in your home for good. I'm going to be sharing some of my top tips that I promise you've probably never heard of, quite a few of them, and they have changed my life, and I don't say that lightly, and my students' lives, because we all know that cluttered countertops can just be so triggering and like the bane of our existence. So let's dive in. Really quickly, let's talk about why counters tend to be clutter catchers. I think it is normal human tendency to be lazy. Or maybe it's just me, and kind of take the path of least resistance. Maybe you're making lunch and you get the salt and pepper out from your cabinet and you're salting and peppering your food. And instead of putting it back in the cabinet, it goes onto the countertop, right? We are trying to save these portions of a second when we are doing our routines, whether it's coming home from work, and instead of putting things where they go in the entryway or on a command center, if you have one of those, the mails, the keys, the homework, the lunch boxes, whatever it is. And a lot of us, we just tend to drop these things, leave them there, and not really give it much thought, right? It's just one thing. I'll get to it later. But as you know, if you're looking around your home right now, looking at stuff all over the countertops, later is like right now. In fact, start doing it. Put me in your back pocket or take me to the countertop right now and let's clear some of this stuff off right now. Sound good? Remember that just like gravity is a law, so is it that stuff attracts stuff. So outside of just, bad habits and inherent laziness, I'm speaking on my behalf of myself and kind of my family here, but I think it's a lot of people. Stuff attracts stuff. And so that one water bottle you innocently put down on top of your clean countertop is now going to attract other stuff to it. Homework, keys, mail, like random toy pieces, batteries, stuff you just don't know what to do with, or stuff that just needs to be put back away. And it becomes this huge mess, and it becomes really triggering, frustrating, and stressful. Especially if you're like, I just cleaned the counters 30 minutes ago and they're already filled back up with junk. So because stuff attracts stuff, that is a law. We cannot change that. A few years back, I thought, if I can't change that, how can I make it work for my advantage instead of only my disadvantage? And so what I did is I placed a beautiful fruit bowl in the corner of my kitchen counter right near my sink where I wanted all of these stuff to be attracted to. Water bottles, lunch boxes, dirty dishes, dirty silverware, all the things now get attracted to one location on my kitchen countertops. This strategy has been so epic for me and my family and my students who've implemented it, because now everything doesn't get scattered all throughout my home in all sorts of different places and on all of my different kitchen countertops or even kitchen table. Everything lands in one spot. It's condensed, and the majority of my other surface areas in my home stay pretty clean because, again, everything that kind of would land all over gets pulled to one spot, right where I want them. And because we can't change the fact that stuff attracts stuff, this is another reason many years ago, I reduced a lot of my appliances that typically live on the counter in a lot of homes. So reduce what you can, get rid of multiples, and get stuff off your countertops. I used to have the mindset of leaving, like an example would be a toaster out on the countertop 24/7 because we used it daily. But really, if you think about how many minutes you use the toaster each day, if you're making toast, maybe 2 minutes, 4 minutes max. So there's 24 hours in a day, so that means 23 hours and change. It's sitting there attracting stuff to it. And so ultimately what I decided to do is declutter my cabinets, get rid of other appliances I wasn't using, and made space to store the appliances I did use on a day-to-day or regular basis, out of sight, out of mind. Another appliance that we do not have in our home is a coffee maker. Now, I get it. I'm a coffee drinker. I love it. I look forward to it first thing in the morning, but my husband and I have a pour-over coffee maker just like this. You can get one on Amazon. I love it. It's super simple to make. The coffee is delicious. And my favorite part outside of drinking the coffee is just putting it in the cabinet when we're done with it. It's one less thing that lives on my countertops, attracting stuff to it, y'all. This is life-changing. Another thing I let go of is actually my knife block. Now, I know a lot of us throughout the years have probably invested in these really nice knife sets, and they often come with these big, bulky knife blocks. And I started to realize that that was attracting stuff to it. And so I tested out not having it for a while and ended up just ultimately getting a knife drawer organizer like that. And it's been game changing. I got rid of my knife block and my knives still stay nice and sharp and tucked away and beautiful and organized. And one less thing on my countertops. I'm telling you, people, it's amazing. Okay, so now let's go into some of my favorite mantras. These are mantras I repeat to myself every day and also have taught my family, my husband and my 2 sons. Number 1 is don't put it down, put it away. Again, a lot of the things you're facing on your countertops aren't even true clutter. We'll talk about more on that in just a second. They're just expected mess. They are things you probably use or want to use that are left out maybe as a visual reminder, like vitamins or medication to take. And that's not clutter. That's expected mess. So don't put it down, put it away. Next time you're cooking, next time you're getting home from work, all these different opportunities we have throughout our day where we typically just put it down instead of away, start reminding yourself of this mantra. Put sticky notes up. Literally do whatever it takes. It will help you. And remember, with these mantras I'm sharing, the end goal is not perfection. We are not going to 100% of the time put things away the first time. But even if you do these 30, 40, 50, 70% of the time and teach your family, it's going to make a huge difference in the stuff that ends up on your countertops. Another one of my favorites is Ohio. Now, if you're from Ohio, you should remember this real easily, but it's an acronym that stands for only handle it once, right? Same concept as don't put it down, put it away. So the next time you get home and have all kinds of things in your hands and just are so tempted to dump them on the kitchen counter to save them for later, remind yourself to leave things the way you want to find them, right? When you dump things on the counter, then come back in an hour to cook dinner, it is chaos. It makes you probably not want to cook dinner because it's going to take you 20 minutes just to clear the counter so you have space to cook, chop, do all the things. So leave things the way you want to find them. And another one, a favorite one of my mantras is if it takes less than 30 seconds, do it right now. And remember, it's not a matter of if things end up landing on the countertops. Even when you use these strategies, even when you use these mantras, it's really a matter of when. And that's what daily resets are for. I swear by these. I do them multiple times in my home, especially in high traffic areas like kitchen and kitchen countertops. So if you don't know what a daily reset is, basically it's where you take time once, twice, maybe 3 times in a busy area like this, but at least once a day to put everything back at baseline. All the dishes are put in the dishwasher and running. All the clean dishes are put away. Things are off your countertops. Things are put back where they belong. And so if you're not already doing these, I would highly recommend starting at least at the end of the day, doing a nightly kitchen reset after dinner. You might still have your lunch boxes, some stuff that have accumulated in your kitchen throughout the day, but doing this is going to help you get that stuff off your counter. It's a really great, healthy habit for you and your family. And I tell you what, there is nothing more exciting to me than coming downstairs in the morning, looking forward to using that pour over coffee maker and using it on my clean countertops. It sets the tone for the day to walk into a clean kitchen. Maybe you have a coffee bar. Maybe you just start tidying and organizing that space. It is a wonderful thing. And the idea with daily resets is if you start doing them once a day at least, but especially throughout the kitchen, I would recommend 2 or 3 times, it's going to help reduce that expected mess and clutter overwhelm. So before the mountains of stuff grows and grows and grows and becomes so overwhelming, you get paralyzed, you get overwhelmed, and you don't tackle it, and procrastination kicks into high gear, right? And you're like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And the stuff continues to accumulate. Daily resets really helps prevent that. And it's easier to spend, 2 to 5 minutes tidying up than it is know it's going to take you at least 30 minutes or an hour. Daily resets are huge. My next tip is to create a home for everything. Now, maybe you've heard this before, but there is such importance with everything having a designated home, whether that's in a drawer, on a shelf, in a room, in a closet, it doesn't matter. If you don't know where something ultimately belongs, I can promise you 100% of the time, it's going to end up somewhere you don't want it, probably your kitchen counters. And you're going to inevitably move it from pile to pile to pile, and that pile is going to grow, and you're going to waste your time and energy. So take some time, intentional time today, to carve out some spaces and homes for those things that are otherwise landing on your kitchen counters. And if you don't have space where you would like to put it, that's a red flag. You should declutter, make some space for it. I promise you, you can do it. I also want to point out that a lot of the examples I've given of things that are landing on countertops, those aren't true clutter. And I feel like people constantly reach out to me and they're like, Katie, I'm so tired of my kitchen counters. They are always filled with clutter. And I'll say, send me a picture. And they send me a picture and it's all the things we talked about, all the things that are used daily. They're just simply not getting put back where they belong. And because clutter has this like dark cloud around the word and such a negative connotation for good reason, it really upsets people and it feels like, what's the point, right? All this clutter is landing back on my countertops. Remember, your home is supposed to be functional, and these things oftentimes aren't true clutter. They are expected mess. Part of it is a little bit of lowering our expectation, right? Our homes are not supposed to be beautiful and tidy 24/7. If that is your goal, to have a perfectly tidy home 24/7, it is an exercise in futility. You will constantly be frustrated, resentful, and overwhelmed, and probably downright angry at yourself and your family for making your job harder. It's really about finding the right balance that works for you and your family and your season of life. And instead of striving for a home that's always tidy, which isn't possible, strive for a home that's easy to tidy. It's a game changer. Someone also asked me the other day what my opinion was of kind of junk baskets that hang out on kitchen counters to hopefully, attract a lot of these things that are landing all over the kitchen counters. And my opinion is that they tend to attract a lot of junk, hence the name. So if you want these things like a junk drawer or junk basket to attract stuff, it probably will. But in a lot of homes, unless you are consistent with continually emptying it out and putting things back where they belong, they end up being just a part of the problem. And so it's not my cup of tea, but if it works for you, or additionally, you just want to test it out, do it. But remember, consistency is more important than anything else. So if you go with the junk basket route, first of all, I would implore you to rename it, because what you call it, it will attract. And second of all, just be consistent with it and see how it goes. So clean and clear countertops are not out of reach. And I promise if you incorporate just a few of the tips we talked about, it's really going to reduce the amount of things that land on it and the amount of time you are spending each day tidying it up and shuffling things around. Remember that you are absolutely capable of creating and having a clutter-free home. And if you're having any feelings of negativity around this journey, maybe it's time to address some feelings of potential shame. So click the video on your screen now.